Perinheri, also known as Cleobranto Innamorato, or Cleobrant in Love, a Genshin Impact audiobook narrated by that adorable fox. Volume 1. This is a story from very ancient times indeed. It is said that in those days, birds had not yet split into domestic and wild kindreds. In those days, a crimson moon shone down upon the subterranean realm, and not the dark sun of latter days. Due to the kingdom's unique position, things from outside this world were always leaking into it. The kingdom's weapons could wipe out the calamity slipping in. But what of all the other objects? Such as, say, a child who may have come from some destroyed world. One of the sages spoke thusly to the great ruler. "O high lord of the nobles, a child once told me a tale of another world. Once upon a time, there were sea people who believed that the gods came from the sea. Each time they discovered a shipwrecked person, they would treat them with the utmost honor, for they believed that the gods would take the form of the shipwrecked to investigate the mortal realm." The ruler replied, "I do not perceive your meaning, so do as you please." Naturally, no oceans in the traditional sense lay within the kingdom's borders. The earliest founders of the kingdom had once seen the majestic silhouettes of the mountains blur under the sun's searing glare, and the rippling reflections of the moonlight falling upon the sea's surface like a scattering of pearls. But at the time this story took place, only outsiders, and those few who had left the kingdom on official duties, and returned could describe such sights to the ruler. The ocean and the sea were often used as a metaphor for the space projected by the stars. In anticipation of the arrival at their kingdom of gods from beyond the so-called ocean, or rather the arrival of beings who could transcend the gods, they founded an organization, an orphanage to take care of children. In latter days, the orphans of the kingdom and those who wandered in from the outside were accepted as well. The young Perinheri's first memory was that of being asked by the grown-ups to crawl through a dark corridor. This passage might have been a chimney for winter fires, for it was filled with coal ash, and there was not a single crack in it through which smoke or light could pass through. As he crawled, he would sometimes stumble in the pitch-black darkness. Fortunately, the corridor appeared designed for the passage of children in the first place, so the falls were not very painful. It also lacked any annoying cobwebs. When Perinheri reached the end at last, the exit had not opened yet. He knocked, only for the grown-ups to coldly ask, "Are you dead?" Well, how was he to reply if he was dead? But the grown-ups did not like this response. They kept asking the same question until at last he shouted, "Yes, I'm dead!" The adults then asked, "Did you see it then?" Perhaps it was the fear brought on by the darkness, combined with hunger and exhaustion, but Perinheri did indeed see an illusion. The crimson moon, hanging high in the pitch-dark night sky, suddenly turned around, revealing itself to be a titanic, horrified eye. The adults opened the door and embraced the soot-covered Perinheri. "You have traversed the fire of 2 worlds within the hearth, and here you are reborn." Though the crimson moon set, and the dark sun descended into a yet darker dusk, that transcendental person from beyond, who the kingdom orphanage was awaiting, never arrived. But unusual individuals they had aplenty, and many of those who strode forth from the gates of that orphanage became the great knights of the kingdom. Perinheri was, in his time, the leading figure amongst their ranks. That is, unless he were forced to compete with his best friend, Cleobrant. They should have competed for glory, and decided who was superior through the amount of honors they crowned themselves in, and in the number of goblets of fine wine down during the festivities afterward. But for some reason, their rivalry would take a mortal turn. Perinheri, Volume 2. That day, the orphanage welcomed a new member. She was a beautiful young lady from a foreign land who claimed to be a noble princess. Her nation had been defeated by Deus Ari, and yet the daughter of a priestly line she remained, and would not submit to the new god, and so she had drifted, wandering through the gates of their kingdom. She called herself Angelica, meaning one who was as a divine emissary. Fair Angelica declared that she would only marry the mightiest knight in all the kingdom. Perinheri cared not a whit, but Hleobrand was smitten with her. Angelica would often take walks near the Sea of Wells, and there she spoke much of the outside world to Hleobrand. Perinheri would come along out of concern for his friend, and because suspicion was born in him sooner than curiosity, he would doubt her every word, yet wish that he might see these things one day. Angelica's arrival changed Hleobrand altogether. He would cause trouble, looking for any provocation upon which to stake a duel against other knights. He would win all of these bouts and turn to Angelica to show off his prowess. Yet all she ever gave him was a cool smile, for what great feat was it for a runner if they raced a tortoise and triumphed? Njord, who walks with the dark sprites. Ulf, the greatest warrior in the Universitas Magistrorum. Alberich, commander of the half-knights. And Perinheri, the undefeated. Angelica spoke thus of the mightiest figures in the kingdom as she saw them. Having fallen head over heels into the throes of love, Hleobrand came to what was an all too reasonable conclusion for himself. People might call him a traitor, or believe him mad, but even so, he had no wish to hurt Perinheri. As for Perinheri, he believed that his best friend's madness would be cured if only he could kill Angelica. In the midst of that most merciless pursuits, the three left the kingdom's borders. At the very moment, Hleobrand clutched his face, and the words escaping his mouth gradually grew more like the howling of a wild beast. The witch, Angelica, explained thus: Hleobrand is a descender of those who forsook their god and came to the kingdom. This is why the kingdom's obstinately pure-blooded aristocracy persists. This is the price of betraying your own god. As for you, Perinheri, you are one who drifted there. Thus, you bear no such curse. You may not have a nobility to shoulder a world, but you too have your own destiny. And as for me, I betrayed no one, not for a moment, until my god died. So I too bear this curse not. But you now see who I truly am, yes? The sun rose over the horizon at that moment, and Perinheri's blade slipped from his fingers, exhausted from the night-long battle. Covering his forehead with the back of his hand, he looked upon the sun for the first time. And when he glanced back at Angelica, he saw that she was neither a beautiful woman from Liyue nor a wicked witch. I am freedom, that which has broken free of fate. This is what Hleobrand sought in agony, but that which is now yours for the taking. There was nothing before Perinheri, only vast, empty land.